Y'all, one thing about Black Cake is that they're gonna leave us on a cliffhanger every single time. Y'all, my name is Ashley. If you're new here, this is my sweet perspective where I give my perspective on all things entertainment, TV, movie, reality. And if you're here for that, go ahead and follow, subscribe, do all the things. I post multiple times in the week, okay? But y'all, let's get into this most recent episode. First of all, spoiler alert. Spoilers are what I do, okay? So if you have not watched episode 7 yet, please tune off the video and come back at a later date and time, okay? So that I can give you all of this and it won't spoil the show for you. This episode was episode 7, entitled Birth Mother. And y'all, this was honestly a love story to Mabel, okay? We see Kofi, aka Kofi Tina, aka Eleanor, aka Ellie, at this point, ready to hear the final recording. We saw at the end of the episode, 1, that Mabel was not given away, but she was taken. And 2, Benny convinced Mabel to come back to the second part of the reading, right? So they're all there in the room and it's time to start the recording. So we go all the way back to when she first arrives back in London from Scotland. And before, we immediately thought that she bumped right back into Gibbs as soon as she got back into the country. Well, that was not the case, okay? That was like a year and some later that she bumps into Gibbs. When she first gets there, she's just trying to find a weird place to stay because she can't stay with the island girls anymore because they know too much because she's now living as Eleanor. And so basically she has to find a place to live. And so she actually goes to like an Asian boarding house is what it appears. And she's like, I'm to myself, London was easy to get lost in, but soon she starts getting sick. Now she thinks she has the flu. She goes to the doctor to be seen. And he like, girl, you pregnant? She's like, well, okay. He asks, do you know who the father is? I got to ask because the girls out here are so liberated and fast. And she's like, it was an assault. He goes, well, yeah, anyway. Well, I had to say it like that because so many girls. Just imagine just the worst bedside manner you can ever imagine as a girl who's just been violated, is super scared, doesn't know what's happening to her body, and you get something like him. You know what I'm saying? Just gross. And so he's like, do you have a place to live? Do you have a job? Are you going to be able to take care of this baby? And she's like, give me a minute to process all this. And so we find her, she's kind of reeling after that. So she decides to go to the church house and she's on the pew, honey, pouring it all out. And this friendly nun approaches her and is like, are you in the family way? And she's like, yes. Well, I have a home for girls. You can come and we'll find the baby a nice, home to live with, a nice family. In that moment, Kofi is thinking this is the perfect thing to do because, I don't want to be reminded of my trauma over and over again, but she didn't want to abort the baby because the doctor did give her that as an option. And so she's like, yes, that sounds perfect. Perfect. You have to work, you know what I mean? And you'll have to do X, Y, or Z, but you'll be fed, you'll have a place to live. It'll be clean, safe, all the things. Kofi's like, sign me up, put me in the game, coach. She gets there immediately. She's greeted. Well, we see a group of teen girls. They're all in different stages of pregnancy. And one of the young ladies, Irene, immediately approaches her and is like, sis, I got you. You hungry? Let me get you something to eat. And just immediately befriends her, right? And so we're like, oh, this is going to be the development of a good friendship. As the time goes on, Irene starts to confide in Kofi. Kofi's like, I'm good at keeping secrets. And she's like, well, listen, sis. Me and my man, we're going to get back together. My parents sent me here when they found out I was pregnant. I'm going to marry him. We're going to have this little boy. I'm just here biding my time, okay? And Kofi's like, oh, okay, sis, okay. And Kofi, during this whole time, again, is really doing her best not to in any way connect with this baby. She goes to see her, the midwife for her appointments, and the midwife's trying to, this is the heartbeat. Do you feel the baby kicking? Oh, do you want to listen? Kofi's like, no, respectfully, I don't care about none of it. Okay. She's like, well, Kofi, you're not gaining weight appropriately. You need to eat. This is a life. Kofi's like, okay. Kofi, you know, is not feeling it at all, but Kofi's really struggling through this pregnancy anyway with like morning sickness and things like that. So she leaves one of these appointments and she's carrying laundry up the stairs, honey. She falls down the stairs and she sees blood. And so immediately, this is the first moment that we actually see her connecting with baby, right? Like, oh, this is my baby. Like, I need to be careful. I need to, you know, I hope everything's okay. There was really concern in her eyes. Soon after that, honey, Kofi and Irene are talking because Irene looks toe up from the flow up. And Irene's like, he told me he don't want to be with me. He's not ready to be a father anymore. I guess I am going to have to give my baby up, but I really don't want to. And Kofi's like thinking she's giving sage advice, right? She's like, well, you know, just don't get attached. Just think of it as you're getting this baby ready for someone else. You know, all the things, trying to be her little advisor, because in Kofi's mind, she got this thing figured out, okay? So fast forward, you know, Kofi gets put on bed rest because, you know, she's going through all the things. One night in the middle of the night, Irene is screaming out in pain, and we're like, what is going on? And again, I don't know how the other young ladies were still sleeping during all this screaming, okay? But Kofi wakes up. She's like, okay, you know, hold my hand, da, 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 da. Next thing we know, Irene is carted off, okay? Next morning, Irene comes in there lethargic, ain't talking to nobody, just depressed, honey. And Kofi's like, well, what happened? Have you seen the baby? Did you hold it? Did you name it? She's like, no, that baby's number 3. And when you have your baby's going to be number 4 or number 5 or number 6 whenever it comes. No, I'm not connecting with it. It's not mine. That ain't got nothing to do with me, okay? And so Irene is really in this place, and Kofi, again, you know, trying to be the wise sage, says, you know, why don't you just give the baby a name? You know, that'll help you connect. You know, you can take this time and build whatever connection you can with the baby. And years later, you can look back and say, you know, I did try to have a connection. And Irene ain't trying to hear none of that. Irene is like, no. And so now, a couple days later, Kofi goes into labor, right? And you see her getting rushed into the ambulance. No one goes with her. She has to deliver alone. But in the moment that she's delivering, she's flashing back to swim lessons or surf lessons that her mother gave her, where she was like, you know, breathe deep and wide, breathe deep and wide. And so that's actually her mom's vision in her mind is really her Lamaze coach through her delivery. As soon as that baby came out, honey, it was over. Kofi was in love. She's like, that's my baby. And of course, they don't let her hold it immediately. They don't even respond to her when she asks, you know, is my baby okay? Is everything good? They're talking directly to the nuns because at this point, it's a business transaction. And I know y'all know, people act like they don't remember or know, but these homes, I don't even know if they're still in existence today. I'm pretty sure they are. But there used to be schools, homes where pregnant teen girls would be sent by their families to have a baby, give away the baby, and come back. They would say they were on vacation or went to camp or boarding school, something like that. But the way that these nuns, being women, had no empathy or compassion for the young ladies was so disgusting. And so anyway, Kofi's in love with her baby. It's time to nurse. So she's like, I need to nurse my baby. She gets in the nursery. She sees Irene there, honey. And Irene is like, this baby won't latch. I'm not trying to do this. Take it, take it, take it, take it. And I was like, somebody take that baby, because Irene looked like she was going to do something to that baby. And I wouldn't have been able to handle it if they would have showed that on the show. And so Irene is doing that. The nuns turn their back, honey. And Irene is flicking the baby off her titty, huh? And Kofi is looking like, girl. Because at this point, Kofi's in love and she's plotting her next move. So she gets back in the room and she's like, Irene, you're going to have to stop faking. I know you don't hate this baby. Irene's like, I'm trying to do my time, go home and put this all behind me. So the next time we see Kofi, she's back in the nursery, honey, with the baby. And she's like, well, no one's around. No plan, none of her stuff, nothing. She's like, I'm going to take my baby. She gets in the hallway. She's making her way downtown, okay? Walking fast, doing all the things. And the nun, the same Jamaican nun, bumps into her in the hallway. He's like, what are you doing, Kofi? And Kofi's like, I want my baby. I want my baby. She's like, you're just sleepy. Go to bed. I'll hold the baby for tonight. We can talk about it in the morning. Kofi's like, okay. Kofi gets to the room, honey, and Kofi's packing her bags. Okay, she's packing the flour that they gave her. She's packing all her stuff. Like, it's time to go. I'm going to get my baby in the morning. I'm out of here. She wakes up in the morning and everybody's cleared out. Nobody's there. She goes to the nursery. Her baby's not there. These unfeeling cows, okay, in the nursery are like, oh, don't worry about it. Just go and get yourself together, get dressed, you know. keep it moving, basically. And so Kofi now is like, where's my baby? She goes into the room, honey, and sees Mabel and the 2 people that adopted her. And she talked, this is my baby. Give me my baby back. I want my baby. Do you know that then people saw her, got on their little running shoes and ran out? The nun holds Kofi back, but Kofi breaks free, honey. She runs outside as the car is leaving. And she's like, my baby's Matilda. The nun says, well, they said they would keep Matilda as the baby's middle name. But go ahead, go get packed, get your stuff, time for you to go. And Kofi's like, well, where am I supposed to go? She's like, you ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get out of here, okay? And so we go back to real time and we see Mabel bawling. And at this point, I'm crying too, because it's so emotional to think, you know, to find all this out in a matter of days. First of all, you're not a white woman that you thought you were. So your identity has completely been shifted or changed from who you thought you were, to finding out that your mother is a Jamaican and Chinese woman. But not only that, but you're the product of a trauma, an assault, right? And then after that, to find out that you weren't given away, but you were taken by these people that you call parents today. And then on top of that, to find out that she really did love you and want you. I mean, way to tell a story, y'all. I mean, it tugged on the heartstrings. And so at this moment, I'm surprised Benny wasn't crying, or Byron. But you know, Byron goes up and he comforts Mabel, because Mabel said, I need a moment. Okay. And they're like, well, let me take you somewhere. So they go out to the garden. And you know, it was really a representation of Kofi's love for Mabel. And it was really, really beautiful. So, you know, they kind of have this bonding moment and they're going through it. Mabel's reconciling, I think, everything, right? It's so much to process. So now we go back in the day, and we see Kofi getting ready for her wedding day, because we all know what happened at the wedding day. And she is talking to Pearl, who was their housekeeper, but also their mom's BFF. And so she's like, you know, your mom gave me this to give to you. She was actually going to give it to you, but she never came back. So I wanted to give it to you on your wedding day. And it was this necklace of her mom's. And so Kofi's like, you know what? I don't want to talk to you. I don't really want it. She left me. She ain't saved me. My daddy ain't saved me, and you not saving me. So immediately I'm thinking, oh, this Pearl really did do it. And I think I said that in the first review, because I felt like Pearl did it, child. I felt like Pearl did it. And so next thing we see is Pearl baking the black cake, but she's mixing up some herbs and berries, witchcraft and wizardry, okay, in the kitchen. And I'm thinking Miss Pearl did do it. But then the last scene we see is Kofi looking out the window, looking at her prospective husband, and is like, you know, y'all can go digging for more information, but don't be surprised if it's not what you expect or not what you think. You know, we didn't want to do everything we did, but we had to do what we did. And that's how it left off, y'all. So we don't know. I'm excited to see what's in store for next episode. Y'all put it in the comments below. What did y'all think of this episode? Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all in the next video.